Hey students, this is Pranav and I am a science instructor at Careertree Education. Today we would be studying the topic Ohm's Law. There was a scientist or a German physicist during 1827 with the name as Georg Simon Ohm. Georg Simon Ohm, who while doing experiments defined a relation between first current flowing through a metallic wire and second the potential difference across the ends of the metallic wire. What his law stated was that the potential difference, which is denoted by V, is directly proportional to the amount of current passing through the wire, and potential difference, which is across the terminals of the wire, and the current would be directly proportional only in the case when the temperature remains constant. So I would say such that the temperature remains constant. Now, when I look at this mathematically, it comes out to be that my potential difference, which is V, is directly proportional to the current which is flowing through the conductor. If I remove the proportionality sign, I get a constant into current I. This constant was denoted by the letter capital R, and this was known as Ohm's law. Now, what capital R means is it is the constant for the metallic wire but at a given temperature. And this constant is known as resistance. So resistance in short is like a resist or an opposing force which is blocking the flow of charges. That would mean if I have a conductor across which electrons are flowing, this flow of electrons is nothing but defined as a current denoted by I. If there is the property of a conductor which is trying to resist the flow of these charges or oppose the flow of these charges, that would be defined as resistance. So if I want to write what a resistance means, it is nothing but the property of a conductor to resist the flow of charges. This is nothing but now from the previous Ohm's law, what we just saw, V was equal to I into R. R being the resistance. So the unit for resistance is defined by a Greek letter known as Ohm, and this is the symbol for the unit of resistance, which is known as Ohm. So in this formula, I can also write R is equal to V by I, which is nothing but Ohm can also be known as volt, which is the unit for potential difference, upon ampere, which is nothing but the unit for current. Now, if I identify the formula for current from this, it is nothing but I is equal to V by R. Now, looking at this formula, what I can conclude is my current, which is flowing through the metallic wire, is nothing but inversely proportional to the resistance, which would mean if my resistance becomes half, R becomes half, the amount of current becomes W. Now, from a practical standpoint, in your daily life, if you have a situation where you want to control the amount of current which is flowing through a metallic wire or an electric circuit, such that you want to keep the potential difference as constant, there is a device known as variable resistance, or also known as rheostat. So suppose if this is my electric circuit where I have a source of current, a battery, the positive and a negative terminal, and this is my resistor. Now, in order to keep the potential difference V as constant and the resistance as R, if I want to control the amount of current, which is I, in this electric circuit, I can use a device which is known as variable resistance, denoted by a symbol like this. So variable resistance is nothing but a device which can vary the resistance in your electric circuit. If I keep varying the amount of resistance such that I keep my potential differences constant, I can control the amount of current to the circuit. So this device or this symbol denotes variable resistance, or also known as, the device name is also known as rheostat. Now suppose I have a problem where I need to find the amount of resistance. So let's suppose the question says the potential difference across the terminals of a bulb is a 40 volt and the current drawn by the bulb from the source is, say, 2 ampere. We want to find the resistance offered by the bulb. Now, in order to solve this question, let's first draw an electric circuit with the given detail. Suppose this is my electric circuit and I have a source of current, which is a battery, and in this electric circuit I have a bulb. Now the potential difference which is given across the terminals of the bulb, that means point A and point B, is nothing but 40 volt, and the amount of current which is coming from the source here is the battery, is nothing but 2 amp. I need to find the resistance which is being offered by this bulb. So from Ohm's law, we already know V is equal to I into R. Now from here the resistance would be nothing but V by I. Voltage or potential difference is given as 40, current is given as 2 amperes. This would mean the amount of resistance which is being offered by the bulb is nothing but 20 ohms. So this is how you can calculate resistance using Ohm's law. So in the question, you can be given any of the two variables and you would have to find the third variable. Then we can go ahead and use Ohm's law to identify it. Now, since we already know that V is directly proportional to I, now this means that the amount of current would increase if I increase the potential difference. If I have a circuit with a source of current and across the terminals of the source, which is the battery, if I keep increasing my potential difference, the amount of current which is being coming out of this battery, I, will also start increasing. This is what is meant by V is directly proportional to I. If I want to plot it graphically such that my graph has potential difference which is on the y-axis and the current which is on the x-axis. So I would say potential difference which is on the y-axis and the current which is on the x-axis, and I am drawing a graph for a conductor which is following Ohm's law. So any conductor which is following Ohm's law, following Ohm's law, is known as an ohmic conductor. Ohmic conductor, right? So for an ohmic conductor, potential difference across the terminals of the metallic wire is directly proportional to the current. The graph after plotting would look like where we have the potential difference. If increased, the amount of current also increases. Now, there could be a question not in a numerical form like we just did before, like this one where you had to identify the resistance, but there can be a question where they tell you to find the resistance graphically. So let's pick up a problem and try to identify the resistance to a wire graphically. Now suppose there are certain values that are given for a potential difference and corresponding values have been given for current X. So suppose the first value, suppose when the potential difference was 0, the amount of current was also 0. Suppose the potential difference was increased to zero point 0.4 volts, my current got increased to 0.1 ampere. If the potential difference was increased to zero point 0.8 volts, suppose the current got increased to 0.2 ampere, and potential difference suppose increased to 1.2 volts, current got increased to zero point 0.3 ampere. Now, based on these assumptions and seeing these coordinates, let's go ahead and try to plot a graph. Taking potential difference on the y-axis and current on the x-axis. Let's suppose current is given the unit as ampere and potential difference is given in the unit as volt. Now, when I start plotting these graphs with different x and y coordinates, b being on the y-axis and I being on the x-axis, I would get a graph which is a linear line. Suppose this is my 0, 0 coordinate, which is nothing but the first coordinate here. Then I can go ahead and plot the second coordinate. For example, if this is 0.1 ampere and this 0.4, then this becomes my second coordinate, which is nothing but 0.1, 0.4 x, y. Similarly, I can go ahead and plot the other coordinates. Suppose my y-axis has the next point as 0.8. And the corresponding x coordinate as 0.2. And my last point, a 1.2, which is nothing but corresponds to a current of 0.3 amp. Now, we know that this graph is a linear line. That would mean it is following Ohm's law, which means V is directly proportional to I, and that means it would follow the formula V is equal to I into R. Now, the question here is to find the resistance using graph. Now, how to find a resistance using the formula was something which we already did. Now, using this graph, if I need to find the resistance. Now, to find the resistance using a V versus I graph, we need to go ahead and find the slope of this graph. We have to find the slope of this graph. So slope is nothing but given by the difference between y coordinates. So suppose I have coordinates y1 and y2, difference in the coordinates of y-axis divided by the difference in the x coordinate. From this graph, I have four coordinates, 4x and 4y coordinates. I can take any two of these coordinates and try to find the slope. Now, since this is a linear line, taking any two coordinates would give the same answer. For example, I pick up say point A, which is 0.1, comma 0.4, and I pick up point B, which is nothing but x coordinate is 0.2 and y coordinate is 0.8. So using this, if I find the slope, my y2 is 0.8 minus y1 is 0.4 divided by my x coordinates are 0.2 minus 0.1. So this gives a difference of 0.4 by 0.1, which is nothing but 4. So since the slope of the graph gives me resistance, the resistance here becomes 4 ohm. So if I have to conclude here, I can say a V potential difference versus I current graph graphs slope would give the resistance. Now if I would have plotted the same graph but inverted, that would mean if I would have taken I on the y-axis and V on the x-axis, still if I go ahead and plot this graph, this would come as a linear line. Now if I try to find the slope of a I versus V graph, that would give me a reciprocal of resistance, which is nothing but 1 by R. So an I versus V graph slope would give 1 by resistance. And 1 by resistance is also known as conductance. So if you get a question where you have to find resistance using a graph, and if you plot a V versus I graph, always the slope will directly give you the resistance. And in case an I versus V graph is plotted, then you get a reciprocal of resistance. That would mean in order to find the resistance, you need to do a reciprocal of. So this is all about Ohm's law. If you have any questions, please post it in the comments and I would be happy to answer them. Thank you.